Hey, hey, beautiful people. It is 313 at 5/6/2016. Interesting numbers. I hope you've had a wonderful Cinco de Mayo and a great year so far. I kind of went down a rabbit hole after my last video, December 5th, 2015, and I was speaking about the end times then and about the purging and about what fifth dimensional living is all about and my view on what's getting ready to happen as we transition. And later in December, I was approached by Swiss Indo again and given an appointment as the great minister of infrastructure and construction projects of Lingakala of the Americas, all 71 countries. And I accepted the appointment, and I went through my United Nations SOE, Special Operations Executor, and diplomatic classes and all that sort of stuff that many of those of us within Swiss Indo has gone through. Several things started hitting me while I was in the group, and it did not resonate at all. And I stayed within the group until something happened this past week, and several things happened. And the one that got me was when I sent in my passport information, my new photo ID, my driver's license number, my telephone number, my bank account information, my home address, my work address, my Tennessee farm address, and everything that identifies me. And in those same days, we found out that the state of Tennessee had just done some things that is within the UCC code that is actually removing the rights of the legal person, which is one of the things that I was jumping up and down within Swiss Indo about. Is we've got to stand up for what had happened with the One People's Public Trust in December 2012, foreclosing on all the corporations of the world, including the Vatican Corporation, and then literally to the day, to the day, 3.5 years into the tribulation, on September 22nd, 2009, I channeled a Archangel Michael message saying, "Welcome to the first half of the tribulation." And 1,260 days after that, 3.5 years into it, was February 22nd, in 2013. And I said, this is the first half of the tribulation. Well, literally to the day of the ending of the first half of the tribulation, Pope Benedict resigned. Many have seen my videos about those of us who actually went in astrally, doing our work within the Vatican just before that happened. Well, so One People's Public Trust in December of 2012 foreclosed on the Uniform Commercial Code system, which is the Jesuit legal system, the Maritime Admiralty legal system. It's not law. It is businesses doing businesses with businesses. It's how corporations work together, and it's the law of the high seas. And it is British Admiralty law. And it's really all about corporations doing business, or about how business is conducted on the high seas with ships. It has been enforced upon the public with our state codes annotated, and the state of Tennessee has just repealed in the Tennessee Code Annotated number 39-2-701. They repealed the 2010 Tennessee Code, which protected the rights of the persons, of the legal persons. Those of us that have been incorporated by the states, by the federal government, and are bought and sold as chattel throughout the whole planet. Well, this was the offenses for the other corporations in the states, their offenses against us, which our protections we had within that code annotated, it was repealed. Now they can do whatever they wish to with us. And also, part 7 is the threats, the intimidation, and the extortion that the government can do against the legal person has also been repealed. Well, that in July 11th of 2013, just after Pope Benedict resigned and Pope Francis came in, and Pope Francis saw that the One People's Public Trust had actually foreclosed on the Vatican, and the Vatican was the very first corporation which declared ownership of all the souls of humanity and had enslaved humanity and had literally committed genocide around this planet. Well, July the 11th of 2013, Pope Francis had a decree that foreclosed on the Vatican itself, which foreclosed on all the rest of the corporations. So basically what he did was said that the One People's Public Trust was correct in how they handled the foreclosure of the Uniform Commercial Code system. That means that the corporation of the United States, the corporations of all the state governments, the corporations of the localities, the FBI, the International Monetary Fund, which all of this is under, is all gone away. And Pope Francis actually stood up and said, yes, that is correct. And he made a personal decree, which he can do because he's the God there. And he foreclosed on all the monarchies and the whole damn thing. I mean, it does not exist anymore. But the state of Tennessee and the American government and the International Monetary Fund and the United Nations and the banks and the military corporations, they all say, nope, we're maintaining this. We've got the guns, we've got the control, we've got the legal right, which they don't have the legal right. When they've been foreclosed upon, they've been foreclosed upon. That means it's gone away. It's just like the United States Republic, the Republic of the United States. When the South seceded, then that ended the United States. But then that's when the United States created a corporation and said, we're not through playing this game. Well, anyway, July the 11th, 2013, Pope Francis made that decree, and it is paving the way to the freeing of humanity, saying that the Catholic Church doesn't own all the souls on this planet anymore. The various governments still do not want to play within that system. Well, so when I was asked to come into Swiss Indo actually this goes back to March 11th of 2014 when we were called into the groups, and Sasha Stone and Michael Tellinger and me and Roman, we were all sitting there saying, you've got to enforce this collapse of the UCC code. And if you want to free the citizens of the planet, then you need to give out the gold, not create another currency and not back the corporations that control the governments that are our government, but a government cannot be a corporation. A corporation cannot be a government. The corporations are under the people. The U.S. constitutional law is above the people. It is our rights. But the corporations have flipped that around and said the Constitution gives you no rights and the corporations are above the people. Well, without the people, what are corporations? It's all topsy-turvy. So this UCC code was never supposed to be on top of the people. We were never supposed to be legal chattel. And that was one of the things that we were saying within that March 11th, 2014 Skype meeting with so many of the first wavers and the shakers and bakers that are doing things around the planet. We're in that meeting discussing the payments 1 through 11, and we were being asked to participate with Swiss Indo at that time, and we were shooting it full of holes, saying you can't do it this way. We're going into New Earth, 5D Earth. 5D Earth is not about control of the masses of humanity anymore. It's about freeing the masses of humanity. Humanity has been controlled ever since the Anunnaki were here during the Atlantean times. The Anunnaki were the whole reason why we lost our satellite that was our way of creating power in space that sent the energy down to the pyramid and all over the planet. And the reason why we don't find a whole lot of Atlantean technologies is we all had free power, just like Tesla was doing. You had a machine that you wanted to plug into the ground, just like this computer right here, and you basically just plugged it into the ground and it received the positive energies out of the air. Energies was sent through the air. Well, the Anunnaki had created a bunch of havoc and destroyed all that. But even before then, we had Lemuria going down before the Anunnaki ever even came here. We had the beginning of Atlantis going down before the Anunnaki even came here. The Anunnaki came here on Nibiru and their spaceship, and they found a planet that had a lot of gold. And they wanted monatomic gold, and they also needed a gold that they could use for their atmosphere, kind of like their force field shield around Nibiru. So they wanted to do a whole lot of mining gold on this planet, except they didn't want to do the mining themselves. And we had a lot of human experiments that were going on back then. Really, the Atlanteans were a much higher frequency than these bodies that we're holding right now, or that we came into within this lifetime and had been within, because our DNA and our chakra system had been shut down and we were only operating through the first, second, and third chakras. We weren't operating in the higher chakras, and without doing that, we can't even elevate our frequency, get into our heart, activate our heart chakra, and begin activating all 12 strands of DNA. There were some of us that had done that, and that's how we had descended off planet before. But in all of Earth's history, since this enslavement and DNA setup had happened with the Atlanteans by the Anunnaki, which were the reptilians, which the ancient royal families, which are called the dragon families, all this is part of the same thing. When they started shutting down the DNA, then they were capturing our souls upon death and sending us through a recycle process, and we were always ending up back here totally enslaved. They were enslaving our currency, our spiritual energy. That which is now put into monetary currency. and that is really what we've got to free ourselves of in the here and now. Anyway, the Anunnaki had come in to mine the gold, and they needed slaves to actually do the mining of that gold. And so they had taken the human physical form, um, and really had taken the humans that were not the Atlanteans or Lemurians at that time. They were literally the ones that were coming up through the evolution, like the Neanderthals and Cro-Magnon man and all that. And they started experimenting with those guys, and they were putting in um, about a dozen or so, 15 different ET uh, genomes into the DNA. So we're part of various ET races, the Pleiadians and Syrians and Reptilians and Gray ETs, and man, we got it all. And that's pretty cool. I mean, this is really not a bad thing in the end. And when you understand the bigger pictures of starting off the duality experiment in Orion in the Orion Wars, and we came through the Men in Black trying to repair a universe that was of total light, complete light. You get to certain levels you could not ascend because you were in that state of bliss, and you were just like, oh, this is great, I'll stay here forever. And we weren't evolving to go back home. We weren't making decisions, and you need what's called conflict resolution to make decisions on how to get back home. So so the Elohim were going, well, how are we going to ascend this experiment we call the Milky Way galaxy in Nebadon and return back home to Source? How are we going to spiritually go through our process when we hit certain levels and that's it? Well, what had happened was you had an alternate universe with a group of persons there, which we call the Men in Black, pop a wormhole, the ways that we travel, into this galaxy, into the Orion constellation, right next to the Zetas, and they were completely opposite of us. We were total light, or the persons who were here in this galaxy at that time were total light. The clarion call had not been called out for the duality experiment at that time. But the Men in Black popped a wormhole into this galaxy, and it sent out waves of negativity, boom, throughout the galaxy. And it woke everybody and everything up. And the Elohim of this galaxy, this local universe called Nebadon, which Yeshua is the Michael of, the creator of. He holds the space for the whole galaxy, and he had to descend to have a living life within his creation here, and that's the whole point of that. The Elohim had decided, maybe we can use this opposite polarity that came through, and a clarion call was sent out into the universe to have volunteers come through and participate in this duality experiment. And so there are a lot of idiots like me in Archangel Michael's legions that said, hey, we'll go do that. But we do this all over the whole universe, so this is nothing new. And we volunteered, and the volunteers came through and integrated with the souls of the Men in Black, and we took on negativity, which those of us in Archangel Michael's legions call the dark crystal, which we've had to free ourselves of, and able to clear our heart chakras and to clear all the way down to the nuclear levels, to the atomic structures within our bodies, because the magnetics are held between the protons and the electrons. It's like a magnetic tape, like a cassette tape. That's where the memories are held, and so we could clear up those negativities and free ourselves of everything that's happened in all this crap that we've experienced in the duality game since we first heard the clarion call and went through the men in black, and took on the negativity within our beings. And that way we had the polarity to have the duality experiment, the light and the dark. Within Orion, you had the Lords of the Light that were north of Orion's belt to Betelgeuse, and then the Dark Lords south of Orion's belt to Draco. And the zone of overlap, which holds the Stargate, which is the middle star of Orion's belt, was how we would come in and out, and how we go to the center of the Milky Way galaxy, to the great, great, great central sun. It was also how we generated the wormhole when we closed down the Orion Wars and we moved the quadrant to the edge of the Milky Way galaxy so that we could have a more dense experience down into 3D, and some of us into 2D. When we did that, we first started off at Maldak, which was the planet that was between Mars and Jupiter, and we blew that up. And every year on August 12th, which is the center point, we go through that meteor shower of comets from the water planet, which was Maldak. And that ends the Lion's Gate. Every year it closes it. And funny, on 2015, August 12th, 2015, the United Nations did a preamble of the 2030 agenda, which Swiss Indo is using on all their barcodes. From that one original document, they've got a barcode marker that is supposed to be a personal identification marker that Swiss Indo is using on every single one of their documents now. But anyway, after we blew up Maldak, there were groups of persons that 144,000 of us came to terraform Mother Earth. 144,000 souls. And we tried out various bodies. I remember being a mantis body, an insectoid. I remember being all different types of things before we really got locked into these human physical forms. And even in the Lemurian times, we were actually a bit more etheric than we are right now. We didn't have so much density. We were actually in a fifth density. Right now we're in a third density, although many of us are holding fifth and sixth dimensional frequencies and can attune even past the 12th dimensional into the magnetics of the 13th, 14th, and 15th dimensional. The dimensions are pretty much the same on all different levels, although the densities are different, and that depends on the spacing of the molecules of the matter within the experience. And Nibiru was playing on a fourth density, and one of the problems that they had was they wanted, like the Luciferians, to be totally separate from Source and to be uncontrolled within their experience. And so they took out 2 strands of 12 strands of DNA. They took out the 12th strand and then the 8th strand, the infinity strand. And these are the 2 strands that you've got to have to reconnect back to Source. This is the reason why the Anunnaki have to feed off the human currency. And that's the reason why they made this whole other currency for us to change and chase after. This is not the real currency. This is the real currency. This currency can only be obtained by the chakra system. There's many people that are feeling the waves as they open their chakras, and they're feeling Earth come into the photon belt. And we're all in 4D anyway, and when you're in 4D, you're really feeling the energies. You're playing within the energies, even though many persons who are playing in the energies feel that they're going through their ascension process, which they are naturally. But to be ascended master, you've got to activate your chakra system. That's what it's all about. And a lot of second waivers do not understand that. And they're kind of confused. And they're falling for the trap of what currencies or currencies are. They're falling into the same old trap. Now, anyway, the Anunnaki came here. Nibiru, which the Anunnaki spaceship is, it comes into this solar system every 3,000 years, and they needed gold for their atmosphere and monatomic gold to extend their life cycles, and so they developed the human physical form. And they enslaved Atlantean souls into those human physical forms. And they created a reincarnation cycle. Whereas Atlanteans, we were living for a long time. We didn't have the negativity so much. We were in a higher state of being at that time. But the divine plan really has been to descend into the lowest depths of separation. So what the Anunnaki had done, although as a human we look at it as bad, but it's part of the divine plan. Total separation and a test to see if we could go totally disconnected from source and be able to find our way back out. That's what this has all been about. That's the duality experiment, the complete separation. And as we are finding our way out, and those of us who are Archangel Michael's legions of light, who are returning with the light masters, the galactic light masters that had to come in and rescue humanity this time. Some of them, like me, are Earth Ascended Melchizedeks. I've already been through this process 3 different times before, and that's why I teach Ascension and how to activate all 12 strands of DNA. That's what Ascended Master is. A clarion call, again, was called to come rescue Earth. And actually, we've done this 2 times now. I'm back from the future going through this same process again, because last time those of us who were going through our ascension process, we were concerned about our groups, and if humanity got it, great. If they didn't, oh well. And we allowed things like the creation of a new matrix to enslave humanity, which is exactly what Swiss Indo is trying to do right now with this new currency system and this man-made kingdom on Earth with Bepak Sugi at the top, and absolutely total control, an absolute monarchy on the Illuminati pyramid. They're leaving the Illuminati pyramid, the UCC system, intact and refunding the global currency system rather than giving out the gold and freeing humanity. There's only one way to free humanity, And that's to put the gold back in the place where the human physical form was used by the Anunnaki, by the ancient royal families, to mine the gold in the first place for Nibiru. And then the ones that stayed behind that couldn't hold the higher frequencies and go back into the fourth density, or in third density, Nibiru's in fourth density. It had to step down and transition to be able to pick up what it needed and then go. The gold had been amassed. This is not just gold from the Silk Roads and the spice trading. This is the gold that's been harvested way back at the Atlantean times. The gold was all over this planet. It always has been all over the blue planet. But so much of it was gathered up and hoarded by the dragon families. And even now, they only want to collateralize a very small part of it. And they are using that collateral of that very small part of gold to so-called back this. But this has absolutely no value. And this is supposed to mimic this. The problem that we have with this being the currency rather than this being the currency, and this is only achieved, the Christing and light and frequency is only achieved by the spiritual development, by turning from your head, the duality plurality of the brain game, shifting the mind out of the brain and into the heart. The mind is the eternal you that actually animates this physical vessel. That's your real currency. As you activate your chakras, you're expanding that light. And when you expand that light, or having higher levels of consciousness and frequency each time you go through an ascension process, and that light expands out and it goes into Mother Earth, goes out to humanity and every place else. That real currency is what this is supposed to mimic. But when you have crooked lawyers and doctors, or a football player making $50 million a year and he just throws a football or beats somebody's ass on football, but he gets all this currency, which is supposed to mimic this, and then we've got super light workers who might live on $5,000 of this per year. Maybe some of us $50,000, but very, very little of this currency. And this currency in no way can reflect this currency. And that's exactly why Swiss Indo cannot work. Impossibility. It's an impossibility. You cannot make a mimic of currency like this. I don't care how that's going to mimic this. Now, as I start doing these classes with Swiss Indo, they keep on talking about global immunity. Global immunity, global immunity. Why does anybody in 5D that's trying to free humanity need global immunity? Global immunity is for somebody that's doing something wrong. Not those people doing it right. And I have to say this right now. Bapak Sugi, I felt you come visit me. Your energy is warm. It's like a little child. It's loving. I don't think you feel you're doing wrong. I feel we're looking at two totally different things here. I feel like you're a very protected little rich kid that has absolutely no street sense at all. When I was jumping up and down the other day and I had enough of it because my personal property is being taken in Tennessee, not taken, but destroyed by the Tennessee Commercial Code guys, the UCC code guys, in their UCC, which says it's above me. and I can't defend myself. And now we've got the Tennessee Code annotated 39-2-701, which says they have the right to offend me, and and they can give threats and intimidations and extortion. And it's because of the legal person that you want to defend. You've got to have that within the Illuminati structure. That's where the problem is. I said this March 11th, 2014, when y'all brought me in. You got to get rid of it, just like OPP did, One People's Public Trust did, just like Pope Francis already did on July 11th, 2013, with his decree, with the papal decree. You've got to enforce that. And if you really want to free humanity, you've got to give back the gold. If you're really about Earth, you have to understand that gold is a conduit. It's a conductor. It's like copper in a wall. It allows energy to transfer. It should have never, ever been removed from the surface of this planet. That, by removing it from the certain places in the surface of the planet, what you did was you allowed the Lemurians to step down from 5th density into 4th density, whereas Nibiru met the Atlanteans in 4th density and enslaved them, and we dropped down into 3rd density at the fall of Atlantis. And we're going back up now. But the way to go back up, the way to get out of 3rd density, is to put the gold back all over the planet. Just like the end of the Bible said, the roads will be paved in gold. Think about this. Anybody who has followed my work knows that since 1992, I went up and lived in the Arctic, where they were mining the gold out of the rivers and took the gold out of the rivers in a place where one of the vortexes that was critical to the consciousness Christ grid around this planet, they had removed all the gold out of it. And when they did that, the vortex at the Sacred Mountain outside of Eagle, Alaska, off of the 70-mile river, backside of Yukon, Charlie, when they pulled that gold out of those rivers, it did not allow the vortex to operate anymore. A vortex is the energy field, kind of like a chakra system, from the core of Mother Earth at the magma that goes up through that gold or minerals and out to the positive ether. It allows the grid and energies to flow. Same thing as a vortex within us. Same thing as a chakra system within us. When you remove that gold, what happens is you shut down the ability of this planet to function. The best thing that you can do to stop this whole slavery system that's been created by the Anunnaki, this recycling of human souls and reincarnation and reincarnation and reincarnation, the best way to resolve the issue is to release the gold and let it go back to the people and to Mother Earth, just like we've done with the crystals. Many of us shaman have said, you've got to put the crystals back in the ground. You can't keep taking those crystals out of the ground. It's there for a reason. We've explained this over and over and over. We prove it. We prove the power of it. We prove how to program it. We prove how to heal with it. And see, gold, when it's amassed in one place, it's a giant conductor. It should be used as a vortex, and probably is being used as a vortex, on how the Nibiru comes down from the Anunnaki. When they come back in every 3,000 years, just like the last time was at the Sumerian times, and right now it's happening again. You've got to have a vortex to step down from 4th density into 3rd density. And I guess in a mass of gold is potentially used for that. But we need to bring this planet out of 3rd density and into 4th density. And that's literally what the volunteers are here to do, is to make sure that that happens and to stop a new matrix from being created. And when you want to be the King of Kings at the top of the Illuminati pyramid and keeping that same structure in place and keeping the same person's legal person enslaved. See, that's what this is all about. When you have this currency and you have the person's driver's license, the capital letters on that driver's license means the legal person. The legal person is not the natural person. I'm the natural person. You created a corporation here, and that corporation allows the enslavement, which is taking away the rights, just like Tennessee State Code Annotated did. Tennessee Code Annotated 39-2-701. Look it up on the internet. They take away the rights of the legal person. So you're handing out currency, which is not real currency, and it's not gold, to the legal person and only to the legal person that they can extort and take out. Think about what you're doing here. When I felt your energy come in to visit me, you felt like a very warm, loving person. I know fourth density persons and persons in 4D, even in third density, can do that. Those of us first wavers, we do it all the time. We project our energies all over the place. That's playing in the astral levels. And we can go visit and we can see, and same thing as you do. You don't have anything above us, but we've got something above you. And that's the activation of 12 strands of DNA, which means we can go all the way back home. We can return to source. We can bring source in right here. And the Annunaki cannot do that. The Gray ETs cannot do that. That's why the Gray ETs have been abducting people for so long, is so that they can put the DNA structure, so they can take their DNA and put them in these human physical forms to have children to bring back into that level and create a new race so that they will not die off, so that they can return back home, so they can go through the ascension process. And those of us as Archangel Michael's volunteers, and those of us who are truly holding fifth and sixth dimensional frequencies here on the planet, we want to have everybody go through. We don't want to create a new matrix, and you're not above us. You're not really below us. We want you at our sides. We want everybody at our side. It's only one being. But this new system that you're trying to do, this new kingdom with Bapak Sugi as the monarch, the king of kings, absolute authority, and all the Illuminati that's been killing everybody for so long, leaving them in place. You think by funding them and telling them they need to be nice, that they'll be nice? Are you kidding me? What you're doing is you're setting up for Agenda 21, for the removal of 95% of the planetary population. So what is this all about? Is it about giving them $6 million of fake currency and saying, you're going to die rich? Seriously, contemplate this one. Now, when I go to look at all the Swiss Indo documents that's got that barcode reference identification number that's the same exact ones on every single one from the August 12th, my birthday, 2015, United Nations Global Climate Conference, the initial document that you're using. That's when I traced it back, that's where it goes to. When you start putting that same reference number on all your documents, then you start trying to build a system on false beliefs, on lies, on crap. And every time I turn around, everybody's got all these documents within Swiss Indo. And when you're building a kingdom on documents, you're building a house of cards. It's what it is. And the debt burden relief that you wanted us to give, and anybody who's watching this video can go out and look for the Swiss Indo debt burden relief document. You'll see BAPOC as being on top of the United Nations and the Council of 300, Committee of 300, and all the different banks and all the different everything that's the Illuminati pyramid below it. And they don't hesitate to say it's, he's Illuminati. I mean, absolutely. But, the real illuminated ones are the ones with the Christed light, activated 12 strand individuals. They're the illuminated ones. Those Illuminati illuminated ones are only maximum 4D. You can't even make it into 5D. You can't make it into your heart because you're here. You're in your head. Duality, plurality, us, them, good, bad, light, dark, heaven, hell. How do I keep my gold? Oh my God, they got my gold. If you're in 5D, you give it out and you'll always get more back. That's what 5D is about. And the people working within Swiss Indo are some fantastically wonderful people, and they're trying to do everything that they can to help you. These are some good light workers. The vast majority of them are second waivers. They don't understand the history of how we got here in the Annunaki Reptilian dragon family lineage and the gold, the Atlanteans, how it all came to be in the history of the universe. They don't understand it. They have not activated so that they can go into the Akash within their DNA and remember their own personal history of where they came from. And that's a pretty common thing right now, but it's changing. There's people all over that are activating and remembering. Some of us have remembered for a long time. Some of us came in remembering. Some of us came in and we did not want to be here. But as we joined together, which is what increased the planetary frequencies before we really came into the photon belt, what the harmonic convergence and open 1111 doorway was all about. Harmonic convergence, August 16th and 17th of 1987, which the total solar eclipse will go right over my farm in Tennessee in 2017. Something happened with that, though, and it seems like I've lost 4 days, because that said that it was August 17th of 2017 when I first saw that, and now it says it's August 21st. And things like that happen to me every now and then. And I'll look it up, I'll double check it, and then I'll wait a couple of days, and it's all of a sudden like, that shifted. And all I can say is I'm jumping timelines. But 4 days is close enough to be 30 years to the date of our opening, our atonement, at one-ment, opening of our heart chakras with the harmonic convergence, harmonizing the planet, balancing the energies where the Soviet Union collapsed soon after Berlin Wall fell and China opened up, and I was one of the first people into China after that. Got to live there for 3 years. That was pretty cool. The Illuminati situation, if you don't change, see, if you give out the gold, what will happen is naturally this planet and humanity will change itself, because whatever they wish to spend that gold on supports the corporation that needs to be there. And there's enough people that want to change the way that we live and how we do things that the people can choose the corporation. See, that's what needs to happen. That's 5D, is the people need to choose. When you're going to be at the top and you choose, or the corporations choose, or you're funding the governments, and the governments subsidize what corporations they want to have out there, which creates the war machine and creates the whole destruction of the planet, and creates everything in an economy where we've got planned obsolescence and everything falls apart in a few years, just like this computer. This computer should last me a lifetime, and it's only geared to last a few years. And when we start doing these types of things, then we're raping the planet. So if you really are here to change the planet, you need to put your gold, not this money, but your gold where your mouth is, and give it out to people. Let the people decide. You won't need global immunity then. But when you funded the terrorists, the Abu Sayyaf group with 50 million pesos last week on the same day that I was having issues with the state of Tennessee and Judge Anna Von Reitz, the constitutional judge, which the Constitution is the real law and the legal person is the UCC Corporation. Constitution's over the natural person. The legal is over the corporate person. When you constantly are focused in on that legal person, and Judge Anna writes her letter saying that the Tennessee Code annotated 392701 has repealed the offenses against the person, taking away the protection of the legal person, where they can actually kill us now. And they can give us threats and intimidation and extortion, and you say you want to fund into that. And then I'd given my passport information, driver's license number, photo passport, bank account information, everything about me, telephone number, addresses, my contacts, my everything that you wanted, and then you fund the Abu Sayyaf group, then I'm connected to an organization that is funding terrorists, and the legal person that's highly illegal within the United States and really most of the other countries of the planet too. That was not cool. I saw what you wrote saying you want to bring all of the persons that are on the dark side in, and I don't disagree with you, but they have to pick themselves up. They have to want to come in. You can't buy them off. And the persons that are having their experiences of being kidnapped with them, well, that's a soul contract. And so the question comes is, what are you really doing here, Bepak Sugi? You're funding terrorists. You sent all this money to Indonesia and to the Indonesian government that has been at war with it in itself for hundreds of years. And that can be used to kill the people. And all that money disappeared. This is happening over and over and over. I heard you sent money to Deutsche Bank, and that disappeared. I heard that there was a debt burden relief in Indonesia, all because of this letter that was written by somebody within a bank that wasn't the top of the bank. And it says, well, we didn't get foreclosed upon. And then so Swiss Indo goes, yay, the debt burden relief's there because they turned in the DBL. Well, the DBL hasn't got the spiritual white boy account, what bank it is, where it is, the account number, routing number, the contact person, all the limitations or procedures of filing for that DBL at that bank, wherever it is, and you're claiming that it happened. And then I go onto the net and I try to find any evidence of anything about that, and it's not there. There's no other evidence there. I can't even find any evidence that Indonesian President Sukarno had actually handed you his M1 status as he passed. I can't find any of that anyplace. And you say it's been wiped off the records. Well, then, if you're wanting us to believe that these debt burden liberation certificates are real, you better damn well have the account number and everything else on it. And you better well have every bit of information that Swiss Indo is putting out there to the public verifiable. When they say that, oh, we've got another debt liberation winner, we've got a case that it's been solved, and this guy's got a motor scooter, and he got the motor scooter from this auto broker, and the auto broker he gave the debt burden release certificate to, and this auto broker somehow found out where the spiritual white boy accounts were, everything that's not even listed, and Swiss Indo is claiming that as a success. There's several of those on the Swiss Indo site. I'm shooting you full of holes here. Looks more like Swiss cheese Indo. I really, if you've got what you say you got in the gold, and it's King Solomon's gold, you need to create information packages. If you can send 50 million pesos to a terrorist organization, and you can send however many trillions of dollars to Laos and wherever else, but you can't fund your own workers within the Swiss Indo organization, you're telling them to go spam the banks or go in and act like they know what they're talking about and they're the authoritative persons in charge under you, and you haven't got the spiritual white boy account number, where that bank's located, the bank routing number, the contact information, the whole method of transactions and removals and the limitations and the whole procedure written out, you're full of holes here. The whole thing is full of holes. It's a sinking ship. It's a house of cards blowing away in the wind. I felt your energies, Bapak. I don't feel you're a bad soul. Your energies aren't higher than mine. When everybody tells me to feel into your energies, when somebody comes in my space, I can feel them. The problem is it's like two radio broadcasting towers. This one has 100,000 watts. This one has 500,000 watts. They're broadcasting on the same space. This one with 500,000 watts can't hear this one with 100,000 watts. It bleeds over. That's what activated chakra systems and ascended mastery is. I've not yet learned to teleport, but I can project. And I know soon I'm going into absolute materialization. That's what it's about. My manifestation is almost instant now. It's not in days. It's not in hours. It's pretty much on target. But manifestation is totally different than taking this energy, which is the real currency, not this currency, but the real currency in my field, and slowing that into the atoms that I wish to form it in. When I get there, and I'm not too far off, that's when I'm there. I'm truly where I'm going. We're here to free this planet. We're here to change the way that humanity is and will be. If you're building a new matrix, I'm chopping it down. If you want to free the planet, I'm here with you at your side. With everybody else that's part of Swiss Indo, you got some good guys on your team. You got some naive guys on your team. You got some people that aren't fully educated or in their memory on the team. But I love them all. I love everybody on this planet. I want us to either create new together, or those of us that are the energetic straw back to Prime Creator go up from the very farthest part. You know, that's what this is all about. You know, the highest dimensions, highest levels will go later as it goes down the cup. Think of it like a cup with a straw on the bottom of it. We're at the bottom, creating that energy vortex back to Prime Creator. We're going up. The rest of it comes down until it goes up. Anyway, said my piece. Love y'all. Be pot. Either you're with me or you're against me. Love you. Bye for now.